So, good afternoon from the AmCham office in Sofia. We'll conduct today the meeting in English. So, welcome everybody from myself personally and the whole AmCham team. Thank you very much for taking the time today in your busy schedule to be with us and have this introductory meeting for those who taking time to virtually, but I'm sure we'll have many other opportunities to meet in person, and that's one of the priorities. So, my name, let's start from me, is Ivan Mihaylov. I'm the new Executive Officer, Director of the AmCham. Today with me, I'll do a quick introduction of the team just for to remind all of you who are the driving forces in behind, because without the team, AmCham will not succeed. Rusica Nudova, taking care for the finance, Daniel Kiryakov, communications, Petya Kostova, member relationship, Stefania Semova, the committee's lead, and our precious Tanya. She's taking care for a whole operations inside the chamber. Few words on Nadezhda, Nadia, you're online, and events manager Ivo Konstantinov, our precious member of the team and a hard worker in the office in Washington, in US. We'll talk also about this. Few words about me. I'm known as in my last 15 years as a person heavily related to automotive industry, but coming from ICT. Before the AmCham director role, I was nearly 15 years in automotive company, being a country head, first of all in Johnson Controls, then 2014 we became Vistion after the acquisition. Before that, different roles in other various companies, primarily in the IT sector. Also, my NGO experience is based on being a chairman of automotive cluster since 2015. Later on, maybe some of you know the employer organization called Bright, which we formed as Alliance and representative employer organization of all the companies related to innovation, ICT, life science, biotech, artificial intelligence, and etc. Since 2020, I was already member of the board of AmCham, and as of October, I'm in the new role of executive director after the Petter's leave. I would like to give you some insights about my focus, the focus of the team, what we are heading to remind ourselves and yourself as well, what are the priorities. First of all, the main priority, of course, is the members. And I'm not saying because we are gathering today, but really members are the ones for which actually the chamber exists. So first and most important priority is the members' relationship. Therefore, I wish I could meet all of the members of more than 300 companies of the AmCham in the very short time. I'll do my best. Already some meetings started. So expect also intense communication towards a meeting and face-to-face discussion. To me, standing as a member and also being on the other side of the NGO, the relationship with the members is critical because the chamber exists for the members. We are supporters of your agenda. We need to follow your priorities and help on that side. We are in the moment, and next year will be even tougher. We expect a challenging economical, business environment. We can't forget about even political as much as it reflects the business environment. So here the role of the AmCham towards the members will be even more important to help to be the voice to share best practices and etc. among the members, but hand in hand to go in the turbulent time that stands ahead of us. Maybe it won't be that turbulent if eventually we're lucky, but that's a key role for us. And also, I would like to keep you as members interested on AmCham, because your interest is reflecting our actions, our different activities in the committees. I would like to invite those of you who are not part of a committee, or at least are interested, to remind or update yourself with the activities inside, become a member of committee, and be an active player. We will not be just following the committee's activities. If there is questions, topics, matters that are requiring a group discussion, be sure AmCham will react immediately. Aside from the committees, certain topics like the Eurozone is popping up as our discussion in the near future, so different parties will be invited, for example. So be sure there will be a lot of information. I would like to position further AmCham not only, of course, primary goal is the networking, but also a content creating organization based on your input, again, for your interest, to be very vocal in terms of the needs of members, expectations towards governments, because obviously we won't be seeing only one in the moment, and to find a way also to measure the success of the government's ministers' commitments towards the business and act as a reference point. I'm a big fan of AWICE, for those also who know me from the NGOs that I mentioned in the beginning. So I'll be definitely looking for joint actions, some initiatives with the other bilateral chambers. We already had discussions with the German, Swiss, Austrian, French, Confindustria, the Italian one, some others. Because I believe that we can be successful if we are united. And in Bulgarians, we know this is rather challenging, but I'm sure AmCham, it's proven partner already, trustful partner, and we will continue as such in the future. So there I see a lot of potential on the hot topics to be and to act in our eyes. Of course, AmCham will follow its agenda, but nevertheless, I think this is one of the key roads of success. In terms of recent events, for those who are probably having no time, and I understand now this time of the year is always challenging in terms of paying attention to other than closure of this challenging Q4. We had a very successful event called Explore US, and as a follow-up, yesterday we had also a Minister of Economy meeting. I need to apologize that we need to keep in a short format as you were restricted in terms of presence, but be sure the questions in the top discussions were addressing all the aspects of the business environment, all the sectors, and the fact that the minister stayed more than 40 minutes after the end of the discussion, it's a clear signal that the topics were discussed deeply in a context of the interest of the chamber and the members, directly hearing from the business. And fortunately or unfortunately, this is a caretaking government, so the minister was not in position to take certain commitments, but at least the messages are sent. We'll see how the negotiations in the coalition or respective coalition and government will fall, but the message is sent outside, and we will continue to be, as I said, very vocal in this direction. I will mention our plan for 2023, but definitely we will stay closer to the government institutions and being a partner there in terms of having this kind of events where we can sit together with different ministers, other institutions, and the business, and drive this discussion. I would like to remind also the Thanksgiving event. So after the pause of nearly 2 years because of COVID, this year we are back with this emblematic for the history of AmCham event, where again it's really focused for a good cause always. Charity is also part of the DNA of the chamber. We would like to be back, and therefore I would like to invite you, for those who didn't confirm or are not aware yet, please be part of this event. We would welcome also your sponsorship there, because the cause for the children is always something that's worth all the efforts, aside from just getting together and being in a networking event. We will share the results after it, but more than ever now we need to take care of different causes, but children with priority. In December, we will have a roadshow together, and again, the driver there is Ivo Konstantinov, together with the Bulgarian Investment Agency on the West Coast. And the focus is really to reinforce the transatlantic relationship. We tend to talk about the importance of the American business in Bulgaria, the factor that we are, but we need to admit the fact that the transatlantic relationship is not developed, or there is still a way to strengthen it, to have a more deeper relationship. So that's the focus. We will be the pillars of that bridge, and we'll do our best to reinforce, as I mentioned, this transatlantic relationship. Talking about transatlantic, let's not forget one of the very important discussions in the last 2 years, driven by AmCham in collaboration with other AmCham chambers in Europe. It's the nearshoring topic as well. And also this was part of the discussion yesterday with the Minister of Economy, so we won't forget this. But we will be definitely looking not only to improve the business environment, but have more active role on it and bringing more investors. Talking about investors, of course, we need to be fair that one of the issues, therefore, again, focus of the chamber is the labor force. We can open the door for endless investors from outside, but we know how limited we are in terms of labor force, and therefore you will hear me more and more talking about education initiatives related to dual and higher education, sharing the best practices from, or initiatives even coming from our members. I'm sure, coming again from my corporate experience, that every company is trying to attract talents, investing in education, one or the other form. We can be a platform of sharing those practices. Of course, the primary focus is the Human Capital Committee, but the AmCham will stay as a chamber as also driving these initiatives and platforms ahead. And I really hope to have a very productive collaboration with all of you in the education area, but as a result also the improvement in the labor environment. And not only, of course, for the new investors, but also for the interest of the current ones. Every company, maybe not immediately, but at least in the future, is planning expansion. There are certain expectations towards from the corporations we know. We also know that Bulgaria is becoming, the cost of operations and the cost of labor is increasing. We need to also be defendant of this process towards the governments being helping smoothing this transition into more high-cost labor. In terms of committee activities and looking actually in 2023, I would be happy to tell you, but this is in advance, that we are planning early communication in January of our events calendar for 2023. It will be more like a framework, so for your awareness, what we are planning to do next year. Again, we expect more input from you as members, whether directly to the chamber or from the committees. We will have a series of breakfast events with the government, let's see, whatever it will be, round tables on the important topics. We'll continue talking about, with extreme focus on decarbonization, the diversification of energy, in the energy. You know, this is a topic that it's heavily supported from the AmCham members as well. The chamber is spending efforts trying to support this very important part of the industry. Naturally, healthcare, education, I mentioned, rule of law, another emblematic, I would say, initiative in the chamber. So we will be planning event next year talking about the amendments in the law, how to improve the legislation environment for the benefit of the business environment. We tend to talk about administrative burden as companies struggling from this as well. It's in our priority. Innovation, digital, technology transfer, when we talk about education, this is another topic I would be really personally even driving this. And as I mentioned, preparation and more discussions, more communication around the getting Bulgaria into the Eurozone. Of course, again, this is not a solo action. I fully rely on the team, the dream team of the AmCham. The team is from many years. They, of course, are working with different directors. Obviously, we're changing, but the team is here, and of course, I will fully rely on the team to achieve what I tried briefly to describe. Basically, I will stop and pause here. With one more word, actually, I wanted to pay a special attention. I mentioned several times Ivo Konstantinov. I would like to give and get off the curtains in terms of what he's doing in Washington. I'm sure most of you know, I'm not sure whether all of you know, but aside from our activities in Bulgaria, we have our precious colleague there who is building this transatlantic bridge, as I said, and on the field, working directly with potential investors, interesting companies, different states, is promoting Bulgaria, and it's helping pitching Bulgaria as an investment destination. So Ivo, I'm seeing you are eager to talk, so please you can share a few words if you want on your side.
Thank you, Ivan, and good morning. US, good morning. The post-election US, good morning to everyone. Greetings from Washington, D.C. Yes, AmCham Bulgaria is one of the unique models. There's only 3 others in history that have put America into American chamber. We filled a void of an underserved niche for our members of America-based business services, business development, and we also assist the Bulgarian and the US government, especially now that for a while the Bulgarian Ministry of Economy and the Bulgarian government had shut down its diplomatic trade offices in the United States and Canada. So we are filling that void as well, but we are mostly here for our members to bring value to them, to share what we can and what we have, and help them as the first door in their US expansion into our US members to help them in Bulgaria. We provide basic orientation business services, sharing our contact list for free to our members, and if you require for us to put much more time, man hours and work for business development on the US market, we are also available to do that, and we offer it as a service, especially with priority to our members, at nowhere near the cost of anyone else who can do that. My experience here is 11 years. I've visited 37 US states, including Alaska. Washington, D.C. is not the place where business is concentrated. It's everywhere in the United States, and fortunately, our office here has a unique, broad multi-spectrum industry experience in many business areas, from energy to imports, exports, food, essential oils, to business services and HR, and structured finance, investment, and so on. So we can help you. We are there for you, and with priority to our members, not always free of charge, especially if it's a demanding task. But it's a unique resource that we encourage you to use. Thank you, and back to you, Ivan.
Thank you, Ivo. One more, when we talk about commercial operations, let me remind you that we have a new also commercial team in the US Embassy. Basically, not that I'm only new as well, they need to be onboarded. So we have intense communication with them, interactions, to make them more aware and improve their understanding on the business environment. I can share that the commercial attaché is impressed by the intensity of the business in Bulgaria, the level of the business and the intensity in the companies. So this is another activity that goes in parallel. We need to go hand in hand with them. So that's why the role of the AmCham here is important to help the team getting better understanding on the environment. As well, we'll continue as it is been always to have a deeper and strong relationship with the embassy in general, with the ambassador, deputy chief of mission, different key members of the team in the US Embassy, and again be very vocal about the environment, about the expectations of the business needs. So again, be sure AmCham will be standing for your interest, even in front of the embassy. I mentioned the institutions, but the embassy, it's important part of this support on our side. I tried to be very brief in this part of the meeting to go over the certain priorities. Also, please have in mind we will continue to work intensively with all other AmCham entities, especially with Brussels, the AmCham EU, but also in the region. We are already having very good communication there and established relationship. I will continue to drive for such because we tend to focus on United States, but let's not forget we are still in Europe. Therefore, the relationship with Brussels, the advocacy that we can bring to Brussels, to the European Commission via AmCham EU, or sometimes directly through the relationships that we have already there, is also critical, and we'll drive for this. This stands in our priorities. So that's the introductory part of the meeting. The idea was to be a bit informal. Again, the next event that we'll meet in person, I hope, is the Thanksgiving. For 2023, we'll have opportunity to meet on a different networking events, but meanwhile, also as I mentioned, on the individual meetings with all of you. So I'll pause here. If there are questions or something that you would like to know more, whether for me, whether for the activities of AmCham, or to give feedback, I would be very happy to hear from you. Even expectations, something that you expect to be part of the agenda, now would be very, very good time for such. Maybe we'll, just to give you some time of this, I will make a summary of the yesterday meeting with the minister, because I think few of the questions there are relevant for this discussion. I mentioned already the labor need, and that's why education remains in a focus. Best practices shared between the members, training activities here and there, Also, different training methods are part of the planned actions towards education, dual education, especially for book hours. Universities are standing on the other side. We all need highly educated engineers, chemical engineers, specialists in different areas. So that's part which is also, I'm having a personal cause there, and I hope we'll move forward. Very soon, it's initiative from the American embassy. You will be invited on a meeting introducing the University of Illinois. Will be great to have more, and we will be working, bringing more US universities in Bulgaria in a relationship or in a partnership, actually, sorry, with some Bulgarian universities as well. They cannot exist by themselves. Let's not forget our partner since years, the American University, the American College as well. So we'll try to keep very diverse but rich circle of educational institutions in this area of education. We talked also about yesterday about certain incentives for the investors and support to potential one. For such, of course, we need active parliament, because there is a series of amendments that needs to be done. As I mentioned, the minister is part of the caretaking government, so his commitments are not related to legislation change, but at least the message was heard very well. We need to talk more about speed decisions, faster decisions. Administration in general understands this need and will continue to be very vocal about fast decisions in different areas, less administrative burden, more digitalization of processes. We talk about since years about e-government in different areas. I was really pleased to hear the discussion and the fact that our healthcare committee and the digital committee are talking about e-health. We'll be, of course, having much more focus on these areas, and others are welcome. We need not to forget the agriculture as well. This is a significant part of our economy. So AmCham will continue its role again through the chambers or through other tools that we have to drive for this digitalization of the services environment. We tend to hear a lot about comparisons like Lithuania, the Nordic region. We would like to be there, but we know where we're standing. We cannot be only happy about the fast internet that we have. Obviously, the minister shared the same understanding that this is not enough anymore. So there should be more on the table when we talk about this. This will help also to face the issues with the grey economy. Another topic for AmCham, I mentioned the Rule of Law Committee working on certain topics for improvement of the legislation. So yeah, we need to improve overall the business environment. We'll drive for integrity and active dialogue. I know it sounds like a cliche, but more than ever, we need to stay close, to keep close communication with the government. Again, I will pause here for any questions, any feedback from you as an audience, so that it's not just a monologue on my side, and have a dialogue for important topics for you. If somebody wants to step in, now it's the time.
I have a question. You were absolutely right, Ivan, about the... Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. You were absolutely correct on the problems with human capital, which is one of the most acute problems in Bulgaria. The other one is obviously the rule of law, and you alluded to it, transparency and so on. Do you plan any activities with the government in that regard?
Yes, we cannot make it without the government. So in the opposite direction, or I'll start from the back of your question. Rule of Law event is planned. So we planned initially for end of November. There is a white paper going on, being in preparation for certain recommendations and ideas. We realized we need more time to make it more robust and to get more parties involved in it, and also to have enough time for communication with everybody. So that's why the event will be somewhere in the beginning of next year, towards January. This is the period that we're looking for. Basically, the idea, and we need to constantly to talk about rule of law, which is having by itself a very broad meaning. It goes from the constitutional change, the role of even the chief prosecutor, as this is a hot topic, up to amendments in the legislation, court practices, commercial law, public procurement, etc., etc., etc. We cannot change. We are not a change agent, let's say, of the whole system. We would like to bring the voice and the expectations and the needs of the business in front in this discussion, of course, under the umbrella of the rule of law, but will be very, very particular. Not only one. Of course, the Minister of Justice will be part of it. Different law firms and their lawyers, so the whole academia as well. But this is the first step of many. The rule of law is topic of other chambers. You heard me that I mentioned the allies. So we'll also unite with other chambers on this topic to share our view with their view, expectations, and different actions in this area. We cannot do the miracle of changing the whole system for overnight, but at least we will be very consistent in our steps forward. And definitely, I mentioned the Minister of Justice, but also the government itself will be involved. Human capital, yes, critical. As a person coming from a business, I'm always criticizing different institutions that they're not doing enough for in this area. Of course, we need to help ourselves, definitely. The demographic issue is severe. We cannot change it again and solve it overnight, but we need to think about the Bulgarians and in generally opening the market for foreign employees, people coming in Bulgaria. Blue cards is an old topic. It was heavily discussed in the past. Different organizations are driving for it, but by experience, I can say we need fundamental improvement there. Still, it's a big question mark. Syndicates are jumping on it, and they're not very supportive because this will destroy the Bulgarian market. But I think we all know that currently we are literally shooting in our both legs by doing nothing or less, and having as the current process definitely not sufficient. I forgot to mention, but also I mentioned the budgets and the impact over the costs that is affecting our budgets as companies. But we are also in a competition here in the region with China, Europe, US, etc. So to me, it's very important, and this was brought yesterday as well, to be very conscious about the competitive advantage of Bulgaria. We are losing slowly but surely our competitive advantage, especially in the region. Sometimes saying because of EU restrictions or directives, or sometimes of ourselves. Very tough questions, very tough areas actually. But yeah, with the support of the members, all of you, statements, driving for policy changes, I think we can move forward. But yeah, it will take time. I'm not sure how much time we have, but yeah, it's in the priorities. Thank you. Other questions or thoughts, perhaps, from the audience?
Just cordial best wishes to you in your new role, and probably our colleagues are hesitating, or you were very
Thank you.
explicit in your resume here over here.
I did my best. All right. Well, I hope, because in order to save your time as well, I hope I gave, it was just the scratch of the surface. We can talk in much more details, but the intention of the meeting today, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, was to know each other better, to hear from me on talking about priorities, directions, etc. I will not make a sharp turns, definitely. I'm a big favor of continuation of the good practices. The chamber has a super legacy in terms of what was done in the past, and we need to drive for such in the future, and I'll do my best to do this. Definitely there is interest from different institutions as well, other organizations. Again, obviously AmCham is a valuable partner, and I'll do, together with the team, really the best of it to continue as well, trustful partner, but also vocal partner on the important topics. If there are no questions, once again, I would like to thank for your time. I hope to see you on the Thanksgiving event, if not on the others. We are talking about Thanksgiving. Let's not forget the CSR, whether AmCham also have traditions, and we hope to see more. Pandemic was a bit of a struggle in this area, but we've been always creative, and we will be in the future. Thank you very much for your time. Of course, to the team for being in the room today, for Nadia and Ivo online. I appreciate the fact that I was able to talk in front of you, and yeah, hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you and congrats, Ivan.
Thank you very much.